Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Joan Vassos reveals connection between Chock and Kevin Costner. Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos wasn't shy about admitting a massive crush on Kevin Costner. She revealed the surprising connection between the actor and her fiancé, Chock. Keep reading to find out more. Joan Vassos reveals connection between Chock and Kevin Costner. Joan Vassos dropped a fun fact earlier this year that she made a cameo in the background in a scene from the Rob Lowe flick Elmo's Fire in the 1980s. She admitted to a decades-long crush on the popular actor. He recently reacted to the news. She also confessed to having a major crush on Yellowstone actor Kevin Costner. Fans of the show were devastated when his character was killed off after tense contract negotiations. Joan spilled to Decider that there's actually a secret connection between Kevin Costner and her fiancé, Chock. The outlet asked the engaged couple how they maintained secrecy until the Golden Bachelorette season finale aired. Joan and Chock spilled the alias they used in their phones to keep their engagement a secret. Chock revealed he used Katie Vanter for Joan. She used her crush's name for Chock in her contacts, but for long. He's not on this season though, so I'm sorry, Kevin Costner. You're done. And today, I'm gonna change his name to a normal name in my phone because he's still Kevin in my phone, Joan joked. Inside their happy couple weekends. Another way Bachelor Nation couples keep their relationship from fans is happy couple weekends planned by the production team. The couples hole up together in an undisclosed location for short visits until after the season finale when they can be out in public together. Chock and Joan revealed to Decider what they did during their weekends together. We did crosswords, puzzles. We had a couple members of the production team over for dinner, which was probably one of the more enjoyable things, Chock revealed. Joan spilled, I remember my favorite day, and it introduced me to the person that Chock really was. I had to go to the stylist place to do a long day of fittings for a bunch of things I needed outfits for. And I came home, I was tired, and pulled into the driveway, and I walked up. And when the car pulled out, he came out of the house and had a glass of wine for me. And I came inside, and he had dinner made. I was like, oh, I'm marrying this man, definitely. In the heart of the Golden Bachelorette mansion, where golden chandeliers reflected the kind of romance only dreamed of in Hallmark movies, Joan Vassos sat with an expression that hinted she had something big to share. It wasn't a normal rose ceremony or a teary-eyed confessional about heartbreak past. It was juicier, star-studded, and wrapped in mystery. The other contestants had no idea what was about to drop, least of all Chock, whose easygoing grin and signature blazer were trademarks of his charm. But Joan, with her carefully curated poise, had spent the past few days weaving together the threads of a revelation that she promised producers would leave everyone's jaws firmly planted on the floor. The whispering winds of Yellowstone. Joan began her story not in a dramatic announcement, but in an offhand remark over dinner. The contestants were chatting about bucket list vacations, and when someone mentioned Yellowstone National Park, Joan turned to Chock with a knowing smile. You know, she said, her voice as smooth as the wine swirling in her glass. Yellowstone reminds me of someone we both might know. Chock looked puzzled. Who? A park ranger? No, Joan said, her eyes twinkling mischievously. Kevin Costner. The room fell silent. Kevin Costner, the Hollywood titan and rugged face of Yellowstone, wasn't exactly the kind of name that came up in casual conversation, especially in a romantic reality show. Chock, sensing he was the center of attention, raised an eyebrow. What's Kevin Costner got to do with me? He asked, leaning back in his chair. Joan let the tension build, clearly savoring her moment. More than you realize, she said cryptically. A tale of two dudes. The next day, Joan decided to reveal more during a group date at a quaint vineyard, where the golden glow of late afternoon provided the perfect backdrop for her bombshell. The group had just finished stomping grapes, and Joan pulled Chock aside, her face a mix of excitement and sincerity. Chock, she began, you've mentioned you spent time in Montana, right? Yeah, he said, folding his arms. Worked up there for a couple of summers back in my 20s. Why? Joan hesitated, then plunged ahead. You ever meet a guy named Kevin Costner while you were there? Chock's laugh came easily. Kevin Costner? Like the bodyguard Kevin Costner? No, can't say I did. Joan tilted her head. You might want to think a little harder. Chock paused, his expression turning thoughtful. I mean, there was this one guy, back when I worked at a ranch near Bozeman. Said his name was Kevin. And he was always talking about how he wanted to make a movie about cowboys and the Wild West. Didn't think much of it at the time. Joan's face lit up. Chock, that was Kevin Costner. When Chock met Kevin. As Joan elaborated, it became clear that Chock's humble recollection was only the tip of the iceberg. In the early 1980s, Chock had worked as a ranch hand on a sprawling property that often hosted film buffs and Hollywood types looking for a taste of the rugged outdoors. One summer, a lanky guy with an easy smile and a lot of questions about horses joined the team. He wasn't flashy, Chock admitted. Just another guy looking to get his hands dirty. We used to ride out together, mend fences, and talk about dreams. He'd go on and on about this movie he wanted to make, where cowboys weren't just shoot-'em-up heroes, but real people with struggles. I thought he was just another dreamer. According to Joan, this was no ordinary dreamer. That Kevin turned out to be none other than Costner, who would later go on to create Dances with Wolves and decades later Yellowstone. Joan's sleuthing skills. Joan's discovery wasn't by chance. A few weeks before the show began, she'd been browsing through old photos with her sister, reminiscing about family trips to Montana. In one snapshot, she saw a younger Chock standing beside a man who looked suspiciously familiar. It nagged at me, Joan confessed to the producers in a private interview. I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd seen that guy before. Then it hit me, he looked just like Kevin Costner. Joan went into full detective mode, digging through online archives and connecting dots that might have otherwise gone unnoticed. Her efforts led her to an obscure interview where Costner mentioned a transformative summer working on a ranch in Montana. The ripple effect. Back at the mansion, the revelation sent shockwaves through the cast. Contestants buzzed with excitement, and Chock suddenly found himself at the center of a Hollywood-adjacent story he hadn't even realized he was part of. Why didn't you tell us you're practically best friends with Kevin Costner? One of the men teased. Chock laughed, though he seemed slightly overwhelmed. I didn't know, he protested. To me, he was just Kevin, the guy who couldn't saddle a horse without help. Joan, meanwhile, reveled in her role as the bearer of such an unexpected connection. It just goes to show, she told the group, you never know who's going to walk into your life, or how they might change the world later on. A special message. As if Joan's revelation wasn't enough, the producers decided to up the ante. During the next cocktail party, a video message from none other than Kevin Costner himself played on the mansion's big screen. Hey Chock, Costner said, his iconic gravelly voice filling the room. It's been a lot of years, but I still remember that summer. You taught me a thing or two about ranch life, though I think we both know I wasn't the best student. The contestants erupted into cheers and applause, while Chock looked genuinely stunned. Costner went on to thank Chock for being an early influence on his understanding of cowboy culture. You might not have known it then, Costner said, but those days riding the range helped inspire a lot of what I do now. So thanks, partner. A new bond. After the video, Chock turned to Joan, clearly moved. How'd you pull that off? He asked, his voice thick with emotion. Joan smiled slyly. Let's just say I got connections too. Their bond deepened after that, and the other contestants began to see Chock not just as the affable charmer, but as a man whose life had quietly intersected with greatness. As for Joan, her role in uncovering the story solidified her place as a frontrunner, not just for her investigative skills, but for her knack for seeing the extraordinary in the everyday. a golden legacy. The connection between Chock and Kevin Costner became a defining moment of the season, a reminder that love and life are often shaped by unexpected intersections. For Joan, it was proof that there's always more to discover about the people around you. For Chock, it was a lesson in how even the simplest moments can leave a lasting impact. As the rose ceremonies continued and feelings deepened, one thing was certain: this was a story none of them would ever forget.